Asphalt Legends Unite was introduced as a bold promise for the future of arcade racing. A single game where mobile, console, and PC players could all line up on the same grid, competing in one shared community. The marketing painted a dream of unity and progress, showing polished graphics, big-name hypercars, and the thrill of fast-paced action with no barriers between players. On the surface, it seemed like the series was finally ready to evolve and deliver the racing experience fans had been waiting for. But once people stepped past the glossy trailers and actually played the game, that dream began to break apart. Instead of a revolution, they found recycled mechanics, aggressive monetization, constant pressure to play, and a community that too often pushed people apart instead of bringing them together. Chapter 1. Not really new. When Asphalt Legends Unite first launched, expectations were sky high because players believed they were about to experience a brand new chapter in the Asphalt series, one that would expand the franchise beyond its mobile roots and create something truly next generation. Instead, what players discovered was essentially Asphalt 9, dressed up with new polish, where almost every core system remained unchanged. The blueprint system for unlocking cars returned in full force. The same repetitive events and time-limited challenges dominated progression, and the grind-heavy gameplay loop carried over without meaningful improvement. Although the graphics were sharper and the menus felt cleaner, the heart of the game was still the same one players had been cycling through for years, making Unite feel like more of a rebranding exercise than a true evolution. What could have been a bold leap forward for the franchise quickly revealed itself to be a safe, recycled step that disappointed veterans and left newcomers struggling to understand what made the release new at all. Chapter 2. Pay to win everywhere. If there is one element that defines Asphalt Legends Unite for many players, it is the overwhelming role of money in determining success. Cars, which should represent exciting milestones for skillful players who dedicate themselves to mastering the game, are locked behind expensive premium bundles and randomized blueprint packs that often deliver little for the time or money invested. Free-to-play racers are left grinding endlessly through repetitive races, chasing fragments of vehicles they may never fully unlock before the event timer runs out. Meanwhile, those willing to spend heavily can skip the grind entirely, instantly gaining access to top-tier hypercars that dominate the leaderboards. This imbalance becomes even more obvious in multiplayer, where races are less about driving skill and more about whether your garage includes the latest and most expensive machines. Instead of creating an even playing field where the best racer wins, Unite pushes players toward their wallets, transforming competition into a pay-to-win contest that undermines the entire spirit of the game. Chapter 3. Timers and relentless pressure. Even for players who try to stay free to play, Asphalt Legends Unite traps them in a cycle of strict schedules and constant pressure that often feels like a second job. Many events are built around daily milestones where missing a single day can ruin weeks of progress, locking players out of rewards that may never return. This design forces people to log in whether they want to or not, because skipping one task risks losing everything they've been working toward. On top of that, the fuel system returns to further restrict enjoyment, limiting how often you can use your favorite cars before forcing you to wait for energy to refill or spend money to keep playing. What should be a game that celebrates speed and freedom instead becomes a series of carefully timed chores that demand your attention at the game's pace, not your own. The constant deadlines, timers, and restrictions strip away any sense of choice, turning what could be fun racing into an exhausting routine shaped by fear of missing out. Chapter 4. Cross-Platform Problems. One of the biggest selling points of Asphalt Legends Unite was the promise of cross-platform competition. But this promise has instead created new frustrations and unfair matchups. Mobile players racing on touch controls are often at a severe disadvantage compared to console and PC players using controllers or keyboards, which offer far greater precision and responsiveness. This difference makes multiplayer races feel unbalanced, as your platform often determines your chances more than your actual driving skill. Beyond control issues, technical problems like lag spikes, server instability, and inconsistent frame rates make the experience even more frustrating, especially in high-stakes events where performance must be perfect. These issues undermine the very idea of fairness, leaving players to feel that no matter how good they are at racing, the system itself is stacked against them. Instead of uniting racers across devices, Unite has accidentally created a fractured environment where your hardware matters more than your talent, shattering the dream of balanced competition. Chapter 5: A Toxic Community. Outside of the races themselves, the player community around Unite has become one of its darkest shadows, adding to the frustration created by the game's systems. Community hubs such as chat groups and servers should have been places where players came together to share strategies, celebrate victories, and welcome newcomers. Instead, they are often filled with harassment, insults, and negativity that drive people away rather than pulling them in. New players are mocked or dismissed, while arguments between veterans frequently escalate into toxic conflicts that poison the atmosphere. Even worse, people with higher status or authority sometimes abuse their power by silencing those who disagree with them, or threatening bans instead of resolving disagreements fairly. Offensive language and hostile behavior appear so often that they become part of the culture, normalizing toxicity rather than challenging it. For many, the game's community doesn't feel like a supportive family of racers, but like another barrier to enjoyment, adding stress to an experience that was already weighed down by pressure and unfairness. Chapter 6: Missed Potential. Asphalt Legends Unite had every chance to redefine what arcade racing could look like in the modern gaming world, but instead it doubled down on the very flaws that players had already been criticizing for years. With cross-platform technology, improved graphics, and the legacy of a beloved franchise, it could have been remembered as the game that brought racers together through pure skill and excitement. Instead, the heavy focus on monetization, the endless grind for blueprints, and the strict time-gated structure left players feeling frustrated and drained. The technical issues and unfair platform balance made competition inconsistent, while the toxic culture outside of races made the community itself feel fractured. What should have been a moment of revival for arcade racing became yet another reminder of how far the Asphalt series has drifted from its roots. Unite may shine with bright visuals and fast cars, but beneath that surface lies a game weighed down by decisions that pushed players apart instead of bringing them together. Asphalt Legends Unite was meant to be the future of the franchise, a game that would finally unite racers across the globe, but instead it revealed the very problems holding the series back. The thrill of speed is still there, the cars still look beautiful, and the tracks still deliver excitement, but the systems surrounding them cast long shadows. Instead of letting players enjoy racing on their own terms, the game traps them in cycles of spending, grinding, and conflict. In the end, the greatest race isn't on the track. It's the struggle to endure the dark side hidden beneath the neon lights of Unite